So as you guys know, I used to stream Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes content. I used to really enjoy streaming my Grand Arenas, and on occasion I would make the Galaxy of Heroes video to help mostly my guild with some events like the Galactic Legends Leia event, with the Kessel territory battle for Rote event. And shockingly, I still, to this day, get comments every day that those are helping people, which I'm happy to hear that my videos are helping you guys. And maybe some of you noticed, or maybe you didn't, that about a year ago, I stopped making Galaxy of Heroes content because I had to finally put the game down. I had to say enough is enough. I had to drop my sunken cost and say, I'm done, and stepped away from the game. And honestly, I think doing that was one of the best things I could have possibly done for my mental health and for my physical health, which we'll talk about in a minute. But even though I stepped away from the game, I still kept in touch with it. I still keep in touch with my old guild from Galaxy of Heroes. I talk to them pretty regularly. We hang out in Discord all of the time. I still watch videos from different YouTubers just to see what's new in the world of Galaxy of Heroes, because it's a game that I sunk a lot of time into. I'm interested in the competitive spirit of Grand Arena, the new kits that come out. And it's really fun to learn about the kits and see the gameplay when you aren't involved and don't have to feel bad about buying the things or playing with them or not playing with them, because we'll get to that in a second. Basically, it's fun to experience Galaxy of Heroes drama-free, which you can do from the outside looking in. And now, in Galaxy of Heroes, there's a whole new level of drama going on with the new Coliseum and Era update that has just come out. The reception to it has been, no one's shocked, not great. Another pay-to-win mechanic, more gameplay that is not super fun, kind of blasé, more predatory monetization schemes. And at the end of the day, Capital Games would have you believe if they don't do these things, their game won't survive. It is crucial for any game to be predatory in order for it to be successful. And after listening to my old guild be frustrated with the game mode, after listening to videos on YouTube, people in Reddit just going crazy about how terrible this is. Not that I think this video is going to make any difference for anyone, but I felt obligated to make a video to talk about the mobile game that I switched to and to let you guys know that you don't have to be stuck in this world that Capital Games has created. Yes, whenever I stopped playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, I picked up Pokemon Go, a game that I played back in 2016 when it launched. Haven't played it until about a year ago, and I have never looked back and don't plan on ever looking back for Galaxy of Heroes. I reinstalled Galaxy of Heroes a few days ago, and boy, did I not miss it. So today, the takeaway from this is not go play Pokemon Go. The takeaway from this video should be, I want to talk about the things that Galaxy of Heroes does that you might be accustomed to from playing Galaxy of Heroes for 10 years. The things that Capital Games says that they must do in order to have a successful game, which, by the way, is not true, and let you realize that it may not be Pokemon Go. It may be some other mobile game. There are other mobile games out there that can get you everything you want, and you can have fun and not be subject to predatory practices. Guys, my name is Chad. This is Gaming Your Own Way, a channel that I don't post to often enough. And today, let's talk about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and why you might think about putting the game away. So first off, let's talk about some of the problems with Galaxy of Heroes. These are all things that if you are watching this, you are a regular player of Galaxy of Heroes, you know all of these things, but boy, coming back to it and reinstalling the game and just watching some of the videos about the recent things going on in Galaxy of Heroes, it was honestly kind of a shock to me how bad the game was coming back to it after being away from it for a while. And not only how bad it was, how desensitized I was to some of these predatory things that Capital Games does. And I realized truly how bad they were when I went and played a different mobile game. First off, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the monetization practices used by Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and Capital Games. Let's get this out of the way. There are some microtransactions in Galaxy of Heroes, but moreover, it's macro transactions. If you want a new Stormtrooper Luke to be killing it in the new game mode, you've got to be shelling out, what is it? $250 to $400, somewhere in that range. If you want to upgrade your characters, cool. There's an $80 pack with all of the gear that you need to get someone up to a certain gear level. Yes, I know they're trying to fix the monetization practice for not having you spend gear that you would use on old characters or new characters with this new era system. And the solution is to pay extra money for the era system so you can spend extra money on the non-era units. And if you don't spend money on the new era units, you'll just spend the money when they're no longer era units and they're legacy units. I don't know if you have become accustomed to or are used to the macro transactions in Galaxy of Heroes. We'll talk about comparisons a little bit later, and there will be timestamps in the video for some of the different things I'm going to talk about, but it truly is macro compared to other games, let me assure you. The next one is, Jesus Christ, the just intrusive ads that you get every second of your gameplay in Galaxy of Heroes. Like, holy shit. Maybe it's because I just reinstalled the game, but go into the cantina, add. Go ahead and go into Squan Arena, go back to the home screen, add. Go into the store, come back, add. Just ads everywhere, every second of the game. Guess what you don't have in Pokemon Go? Pop-up ads. I cannot tell you how much I took for granted not having pop-up ads in Pokemon Go until I got back into Galaxy of Heroes and was assaulted by an ad every time I went back to the home of the cantina. Let's talk about the big one, the significant pay-to-win aspect of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And people who love Galaxy of Heroes or pay-to-win, or maybe even those that don't, will tell you that it's not pay-to-win, it's pay-to-progress. Because you can play in your own little lane of Galaxy of Heroes. You can play against the people that don't compete. I think Relic Delta and a lot of the things are making that even less true anymore. But it is, let's be clear, it truly is pay to win. If you are new to the game, you are not going to win in Grand Arena. You are not going to be at Kyber 1 ever unless you pay money. If you enter the game right now, free to play, you will never be Kyber 1 as a free to play player. Relic Delta, time, just all of the gates behind everything in the game will not allow you to progress that far unless you pay money. It's just not going to happen. And I think that's a tragedy. And it's something that, again, I think I took for granted as a player of Galaxy of Heroes. And I gave in and I spent, we don't want to talk about how much money I sunk into Galaxy of Heroes. You can probably see if you saw my roster. It's not progressed any since I quit, but I had a relatively decent roster. And like I said, it's not only pay to win, it's pay to enter. If you want to be new to the game, and you want to start up, cool. They've added this area unit, which they said is supposed to be useful for new people coming into the game. And it's supposed to help new people get caught up. They can win in Coliseum. They can do things in Coliseum in this new game mode because they're not gated behind 10 years of old characters. They can just pick up the new ones. If you want to pay $250, then sure, you can win in this new game mode. Or you can buy a Lightspeed bundle for 50 bucks, 100 bucks. You can buy, what are they? Hyperspace tokens, hyperspace bundles, all these other things that they'll get you a new character without mods, without Zetas, without Omicrons for 40 bucks, 50 bucks. Let's talk about this. It's insane. If you've been playing Galaxy of Heroes for 10 years, you might be used to these prices. Step away from the game and it really is insane to cost that much. And then don't get me started with all of the gacha mechanics of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Datacrons, mods, re-rolling Datacron, re-rolling mods. Every pack that you get in the store with all of the gacha mechanics and all of the rolls in them. If you want to go buy shards, for Luke, for Stormtrooper Luke, and you want to pay the crystal pack, you get a list of all of the randomized and you just pull the slot machine to see what you get. You're just going to a casino when you play Galaxy of Heroes and you hop in to the store. You have to download a spreadsheet to see the odds for all of the different packs. It's fucking crazy, man. And then on top of that, they trick you into getting a pack and thinking you're getting one thing and you get something else. Here, it's really funny. Let's flip over to Galaxy of Heroes for a second. I was afraid that whenever I went to make this video, I was like, oh shit, is there gonna be an example of this in the store? Of course there was going to be. Let's flip on over for a second. All right, gang, so we're in the web store, or not the web store, but the desktop version of Galaxy of Heroes. If I go to the store, I didn't have to look very long. Let's just scroll down to, which one was it? Let's click on this one. Nope, let's click on this. Here we go. This is the one. I didn't have to look that hard. Now, for a regular person playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes that just logs in, if I look at this, I'm like, oh, dope. Okay, so whenever I buy a $40 pack, I get somewhere between 0 to 50 of all of these items. And the answer is no. That's not what happens. You have a chance to get some of these things. You have a chance to get some of Dash Rendar, some injectors, some shock prods. I don't even remember what all of these things are called because I haven't played Galaxy of Heroes. Or you could get 50 shards of Darth Talon and some injector head salvage and some hull pads. You could get some of these things, but you don't get all of them. And to the average person, if you played Galaxy of Heroes for a long time, maybe that's true. But if you're like a free-to-play player or like the littlest baby dolphin and you don't buy packs very often, and you're like, oh, 40 bucks for, this is a lot of stuff. You know, I want Star Killer. I'll buy this. And then you get like 4 cards and you're like, wait, I thought I was gonna get all this stuff and you didn't read the fine print. The fact that there is a fine print. It's crazy, guys. Like, you may be used to it. That's crazy. So those are the issues with monetization. And I'm sure I didn't even touch on all of them. I'm sure you guys, with being jaded at Capital Games and Galaxy of Heroes, can think of even more. Again, I don't play the game anymore. Let's also talk about the issues with the gameplay, because boy, are there issues with the gameplay. Let's get this out of the way. The game modes aren't fun. Like, the game modes are essential, but they're not fun. The new Coliseum game mode sucks. You throw it on auto, and that's all you do. There's no strategy. Maybe at some point there will be strategy in 2 months when you start unlocking more characters. Cool. When the next era rolls around, you're going to be back to not having fun. The new era events, not fun. Completely gated by money. Territory battles, some people enjoy it. I certainly don't. It's, do I have high enough relics to participate? Cool. Can I throw it on auto? Nope. Damn. Or yes and dope. I'm still not having fun. The new raids, I'll be honest, I quit playing because of the Naboo raid. I was spending hours on the Naboo raid trying to get the perfect score for my guild. It was awful. I know that they made it better, what, a year and a half after the Naboo raid came out? That's when they decided to make it better? Come on now. Fleet Arena? Yeah, that's some quality gameplay. Use the same fleet that's been in the meta for the last year. That's super cool. What other game modes? I'm looking at the game over here. What do we got? Grand Arena, to be fair, was my favorite game mode. And the only game mode I really cared about in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. But now the meta's stale. Why get the new character? What's the point other than to unlock the new Galactic Legend? Because you're not going to use them in Grand Arena. The meta is so stale at the top of the game. What's the point? Grand Arena's been stale for, let's be honest, quite a while until a new Galactic Legend comes in. The fleet meta has been stale until they added the B-Wing, added the last couple of ships. The fleet meta doesn't change but once a year. That's fun. Territory Wars. What? There's 40 things that you have to do? Like, you're watching Territory Wars all the time. My Territory War officer from the guild has to sit there and monitor it and ping everyone whenever a new wall opens up so that everyone will continue to participate in the event. It's a lot, and a lot of people really dislike Territory War. Is there anything else? Galactic Battles, Conquest. Boy, let's not open Conquest. Honestly, let me tell you something. If Conquest were a standalone game mode and I could opt to do it or not do it and not get essential rewards, Conquest isn't actually that bad. As someone who doesn't play Galaxy of Heroes and doesn't have to do every single other thing within the game, Conquest is like fine, but I just listed off half of the game modes in Galaxy of Heroes and none of them are fun. But the trick is they're crucial. You don't play them, you don't get rewards. And if you don't get those rewards, you can't play the other game modes that you do like. Don't like Territory Wars? Don't get Relic 9. Don't get Relic 9. Be bad in Grand Arena. Don't like Grand Arena? Cool, don't get crystals. Don't get crystals. Don't be good anywhere else. Don't like Conquest? Don't get Conquest units. Don't get the lifter for your Galactic Legend. Your Galactic Legend is now bad. Don't like Coliseum? Don't like Air Battles? Cool. Just don't get Relic 10. Relic Delta enters the chat. They've done this trick where they've made all of these game modes crucial, but just don't make them fun. Have one game mode that everyone really likes, which for the most part is Grand Arena, and then every other game mode supports it by not being fun, but by having essential rewards. The next thing let's talk about, your new fun things that you just unlocked, you don't get to use them. Release not soon, and if they're too good, ever. Let's backtrack a little bit. Let's go back a couple of years. Remember when Jabba the Hutt came out? Like immediately. First release, Jabba the Hutt, Galactic Legend. I bet up until 6 months, a year ago, you never once used your Jabba the Hutt, ever. Whenever you unlock Jabba the Hutt, cool. Grand Arena doesn't start for 2 weeks, so you don't get to use Jabba the Hutt. Oh, Territory War is coming up, cool. Jabba's too good. He's the new sexy thing. He goes on defense. Grand Arena, you want to win, you're competitive. Jabba's got to go on defense because he's a good defensive unit. You just spent all of this money, all this time, whichever currency you used to get Jabba the Hutt. Cool. He's too good to be played with. He's got to go on defense. You don't actually get to play with your new toy, either for a while or ever, if they're too good until the meta shifts. And that, I'm going to tell you, is fucked. Like I said, it's in my notes. I'm going to harp on it one more time. You can't skip any of the game modes. You have to play and participate in every single game mode. Otherwise, your game modes you actually do enjoy, you fall behind on. And that's really unfortunate. And that's one of the reasons I quit playing the game. If I could log into the game and only play Grand Arena, and that's it, and be successful in Grand Arena, I'd come back to Galaxy of Heroes in a heartbeat, even with the monetization problems that the game has. But it's not possible because all of these issues are baked into the monetization practices of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And again, Capital Games would have you believe the game has to be that way, and it does not. And let's talk about the bugs. I don't mean to tell you that Pokemon Go, every other mobile game, doesn't have bugs, because they certainly do. But the bugs stick around in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes for so long, you know, unless of course they do detriment to Capital Games, unless it's something that doesn't work with Relic Delta, or something that enables free-to-play players or players with low relic levels to succeed. Then those get fixed really, really quick. And once they finally get fixed, the make goods, garbage. Yeah, cool. We got rid of galactic challenges. We're gonna try to make those Omicrons maybe useful somewhere else. But we're not gonna refund those. Maybe we'll think about it. Like, the idea of that is insane, that you bought something, they did a bait and switch, and they're like, but we're not giving you your money back. That's crazy. But don't worry, we've got your Clone War Chewie shards. Now, like I said, Capital Games would have you believe that their secret sauce, their recipe to Galaxy of Heroes is the correct one. That if they don't do that, their mobile game will fail, because that's the way you make a mobile game. Let's compare, shall we? Let's talk about Pokemon Go. And I'm not selling you on go play Pokemon Go, because I'm going to talk about Pokemon Go has its issues. And Galaxy of Heroes has its positive things as well that Pokemon Go does not have. But we'll talk about how these things compare and why Capital Games is wrong. All right, first off, let's bring you back over here. Let's go and look at Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Granted, this is looking specifically at the Apple Store. This is looking at Apple down. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Last month, 40,000 downloads, $3 million in revenue. That's pretty good. And whenever I mentioned that I left Galaxy of Heroes to go play Pokemon Go, you were probably like, your first response was probably, people still play Pokemon Go? That's still a thing people play? Oh, you sweet innocent child. Pokemon Go. Last month, 700,000 downloads, $26 million in revenue. Capital Games could potentially learn some things from Niantic on monetization strategies, on player engagement. And here's the thing. A lot of the things that Capital Games does that they say are crucial to game success, Pokemon Go does not do, or Pokemon Go does better. So let's talk about that, shall we? All right, so let's go through some of the things that we talked about with Galaxy of Heroes, and let's see how Pokemon Go does them. First, let's talk about macro or microtransactions. In Galaxy of Heroes, if you want to buy a pack, sure, they have some packs that are like a couple thousand crystals, which is not super expensive. Pokemon Go, I will tell you, has macro transactions. I'm gonna I have my phone. There's no desktop client for Pokemon Go, as you would probably expect. So I will I'll add in post some recordings from Galaxy of Heroes. I'll screen record. Right now, excluding there is this one box that's 5,400 Pokecoins, which is insanely expensive. You do not need that by any means. The most expensive thing in this store, I'm scrolling, other than buying Pokecoins, is $8. That is the most expensive thing that I can currently buy in Pokemon Go. $8. I could buy some things with Pokecoins. That's correct. You don't need any of those things. Yes, the most expensive pack or ticket or item that I can buy in Pokemon Go is $8. $8. Otherwise, all of the things that you can buy, 150 Pokecoins, 100 Pokecoins, 250 Pokecoins. Let's put that in perspective. 550 Pokecoins is $5. So that's what it's like to have microtransactions. That's what a microtransaction looks like. It's not $50. It's not $100. You can get things that are relatively cheap. Let's talk about battle passes for a second. Pokemon Go is no stranger to the battle pass. And in fact, the people who play Pokemon Go hate the battle passes. The people in Pokemon Go and on the Pokemon Go subreddits hate Pokemon Go. Like, people are just as mad about Pokemon Go as Galaxy of Heroes players are about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Or at least the vocal ones are. The people on Reddit. People are very vocal about things they don't like about Galaxy of Heroes. And I think it's because they don't know how the other world could possibly be. Pokemon Go does have a battle pass. And in fact, for special events, they have multiple battle passes. Or Halloween, I think there were 3 battle passes going on simultaneously. I think the most expensive battle pass was $16. So you've got the $11 battle pass for October. You had a $16 battle pass for Halloween. Was that it? I can't remember. That's still cheaper than the premium era pass for 1 month, or for however long an era is, for Galaxy of Heroes. And here is the crucial difference between the monetization practices for Pokemon Go and Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Pokemon Go, if I buy the battle pass, if I buy the November battle pass, which I have, and I have maxed out the battle pass, the things that I get are extra. They're nice to have. They don't make me better at the game than anyone who is free to play. Like, let's go through and let's look at some of the things that are in this battle pass. There are a couple of raid passes. Cool, I can do a couple of extra raids. There's candy for random Pokemon I don't particularly care about. There are encounters with Pokemon I don't particularly care about. There are some premium items like a lure module, a Poffin, things that if you don't play Pokemon Go, you don't know what they are. But I assure you, they're not crucial items. There's no Chirotex in here. There's no Carbontes. There's no relic materials. There's no relic 10 stuff that is gated behind the battle pass. The one very premium item, which is, let's be honest, the crux of the cost of this battle pass, is the Lucky Trinket. And I'm not going to go into specifics on what the Lucky Trinket does. Just assure you, take my word for it, you don't need it. If you don't buy this battle pass and you don't get the Lucky Trinket, you're not missing out on anything. You're missing out on one lucky trade, and you don't need to know what that even is. And here's the big thing. The encounter with Virizion, the legendary Pokemon, is free. That's in the free part of the battle pass. You get to encounter a legendary Pokemon with a limited time background. You get that for free. You just have to play the game and you get the cool thing. Additionally, there are different milestones that you hit within the battle pass. They give extra bonuses. Your instants last longer. Eggs, whenever they hatch, give you more XP and more in-game currency. You get to hold more gifts and you can send more gifts to your friends. Guess what? You don't have to have the paid battle pass to get those rewards. Those apply to free-to-play players and paid players. Capital Games is probably dropping their jaw at the thought of offering something free from the battle pass that would apply to both players. The short version of this is this. If I invest money into Pokemon Go, there are specific game modes, and we'll talk about this in a second, that I can be more successful at. But I can play the game. I can play the game and not have to worry about falling behind because I didn't buy a battle pass. There's some FOMO on maybe getting a shiny Pokemon, but I can play the game and be perfectly successful without spending any money in this game. That's a perfect segue to talking about the player experience. Let's talk about the new player experience for Pokemon Go, because a lot of people I know are starting to pick Pokemon Go back up. A lot of people, it seems like last year, like last September, was a really big time. I recently went to Japan to play Pokemon Go. It was actually a vacation. Pokemon Go was an ancillary part of that vacation. But I went to Japan, got to play Pokemon Go, and I interacted with a lot of people there. And a lot of people picked the game back up last year. I have several friends that picked the game up last year at the beginning of this year. A lot of people getting back into the game, which is interesting. I got back into it last July, August timeframe. So what's the new player experience like compared to Galaxy of Heroes? Galaxy of Heroes, if you pick up the game, area units. That's the new thing that's supposed to be better for new players, assuming you want to pay to get better. If you don't pay to get better, you're going to be dealing like 50 damage, the Coliseum boss. You're not going to be progressing in the game. Let's compare to Pokemon Go. In Pokemon Go, once I unlock raids, which I believe is at level 50, which I could probably do within, a single day? I could probably get to that far. You can have a legendary Pokemon within your first, 2 days. If you go to a raid, you could have a legendary Pokemon. You don't have to be the only person battling in that raid. And if you are, you're going to lose. Even I would. If I went to a 5-star raid right now by myself I have a pretty good account. I would probably lose against a 5-star raid. You can have in-game content, legendary Pokemon, good Pokemon that can be used in different game modes within your first couple of days. You may not be able to have 50 of them without spending in-game currency or real money, because you have to use raid passes to catch legendary Pokemon. So you may only get to do one a day. You may only get to use your one raid pass, do one a day, and it's like, that's all I can do. But you can get legendary Pokemon. It may not be a perfect legendary Pokemon, but here's the thing. That's where Niantic makes their money. Galaxy of Heroes makes their money telling you that if you don't spend money, you're going to fall behind and you won't have fun in the game. Niantic relies on people wanting perfect and shiny things, because Pokemon have different stats, right? And people are obsessed with getting perfect Pokemon that have perfect IVs or individual values. You don't need a perfect Pokemon. And in fact, the difference between a perfect and a non-perfect Pokemon, pretty low, honestly, in the grand scheme of the game. Now, you won't be able to power up that legendary Pokemon unless you use rare candy, which you can get in-game from doing raids just over time, or from doing more raids over the course of the week that the legendary Pokemon is out. You by default are not going to be able to power it up as high as someone who pays to play the game. And I think that's fair, but that doesn't mean that you are falling behind in the game. That doesn't mean you don't get to use your Pokemon. That doesn't mean that you are invalidated in any way, like you are if you aren't able to get a Galactic Legend and you fall out of your guild because you don't have the new thing, fall behind in Grand Arena and fall down and get fewer rewards, which is a snowball effect, and you just continue to get worse. You just have a slightly worse Pokemon. It'll get better. You can power it up over time as you get more rare candy, and it'll stay relatively good. The meta shifts in Pokemon for PvP every few months, but for raids and stuff, like Zacian has been my best Pokemon all summer. I got Kyurem last year. Kyurem's still one of the best ice type attackers in the game. Dawnwing's Necrozma has been fantastic for a long time. These are all very in-game Pokemon that you probably either need to save up some in-game currency or use in-game currency for, or real money to get a few of those Pokemon that I specifically mentioned. But things that you don't need to spend money for would be something like Rayquaza. You could get Rayquaza for free. Mega Rayquaza, the best Pokemon, arguably, in the entire game is Mega Rayquaza. You could get it for free. You can't anymore because the event has passed. But whenever that event came around, you could get it for free. Tyranitar, Garchomp, Lunala, just scrolling through my list here, Hydreigon, Rhyperior, Kyogre, all these Pokemon you can get completely for free. You don't have to pay for it. And they're not going to be at max level. They're not going to be at level 50, but they're going to be usable in the game. And you can do that within your first couple of days. You can use those new Pokemon within the next couple of days. You can catch a Kyogre and then do another raid or do a battle with a friend. You can do a rocket battle and you can use that Kyogre immediately. You don't have to wait 15 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks for the next ancillary Pokemon that makes it good. You don't have to wait for that. You can get your good Pokemon and use it right now. Other than using money to buy raid passes to get more candy for legendary Pokemon, you cannot buy better Pokemon. I cannot go out and buy an $80 pack of Chirotex to make my Pokemon way better than everyone else's Pokemon. Spending money in the game allows you to play the game more and do more within the game. It doesn't make your stuff better. Asterisk. Yes, if I buy more raid passes, I can do more Rayquaza raid. I can do more Yes, if I buy more raid passes, I can do more Rayquaza raids, which gives me more candy, which will get me a more powerful Rayquaza. That is true, but I can't just wail out on a random Pokemon. I can't say, oh, I caught this Mewtwo a long time ago. I'd like for it to be level 50 now, please. I would like 5 million Stardust and 500 Mewtwo candies, please. Oh, I can do that for 40 bucks. That doesn't exist. That's not a thing you can do within Pokemon Go. You cannot buy your way to the top immediately and just be at the end game. And now let's get to what really makes Pokemon Go stand apart, in my opinion, from Galaxy of Heroes. And that is, you do not have to play all of the game modes if you don't like them. You can be completely successful while never touching any of the game modes. For Pokemon Go, I like to catch shiny things. I like to catch perfect things. I am Niantic's perfect victim, and that is what I like to do. Want to know something I don't like to do? The Go Battle League, or Pokemon Go's PvP game mode. And guess what? I haven't played PvP. I think I've done like 20 battles in the PvP this entire season, which is 3 months. I haven't fallen behind in the game at all. You get premium rewards from doing the PvP. You get rare candies. You get encounters with specific Pokemon. If you get to a high enough level, you can encounter legendary Pokemon. You don't even need a raid pass. You can encounter legendary Pokemon just from playing the PvP. I don't enjoy the PvP. It's not my favorite part of the game. Do it once in a while. I get a little fix and I want to do it, but I don't, and I don't have to. And I am not missing out on anything by not participating in the Go Battle League. A lot of people really hate the Dynamax game mode. They don't like Dynamax spots. They don't like max particles. They don't like the idea. They don't think it's fun. They don't enjoy the strategy behind it. They don't think there is strategy behind it. They just don't enjoy the game mode. Guess what? You don't have to. You don't need a Dynamax Latios. You don't need a Gigantamax Snorlax. You really don't need a shiny Gigantamax Snorlax. It doesn't add anything to your game. Gigantamax Snorlax is a fine tank, but you don't need it. If you really like the Go Battle League, Gigantamax Snorlax doesn't offer you anything for PvP. It just makes you better at doing Gigantamax battles. So if you go out and get a Gigantamax Snorlax that doesn't impact PvP at all, other than your regular Snorlax that you just caught. If you don't like doing raids, you can go the PvP route and you can go and do PvP and get encounters once you get above level 20. It's a low chance, but you can potentially get encounters with legendary Pokemon for the week by just playing the PvP. If you don't like doing regular raids, but you enjoy doing Dynamax, they're releasing slowly Dynamax Pokemon into Pokemon Go that are legendary. Lugia Dynamax Weekend is this weekend. You can play all of the different game modes and do that independently and still have fun and not fall behind in the game. And that's something you just cannot do in Galaxy of Heroes. And then let's talk about the PvP system in Pokemon Go versus Galaxy of Heroes. Like I said earlier, Pokemon Go has a whale mode. It has a place for whales to flex how much money they've spent on the game. In the Go Battle League, you have a lot of different types of cups that you can do. There are a lot. I'm not going to get into all of them, but 3 of them are the Great League, the Ultra League, and the Master League. The Master League is unlimited. Any Pokemon can be in it to any combat power level, as powerful as you want. It's where you get to flex your legendary Pokemon. If you are not a whale, you are probably not going to be playing in the Master League of Pokemon Go. You will not have the Pokemon that can compete, and if you do, you won't have them at a high enough level. If you do, like I said, and do the 1 Kyogre raid and get your Kyogre, and that's your only free raid pass of the day, you have a Kyogre. You can use that in raids. You can use that in PvE content. You can use that against rocket battles. If you go into the Master League with your Kyogre at level 20 or level 25, if it was weather boosted, you will not win in the Master League. But here's the thing, that's okay. Because Pokemon Go also offers the Ultra League, the Great League, the Catch Cup, all of these other leagues that are more intended for your free-to-play players. The best Pokemon in the Great League are Azumarill and Corviknight, and I'm trying to remember all of the Morpeko. Pokemon that you can catch in the wild. There's skill behind which Pokemon to keep. There's skill behind how to play the game, you know? Do you finish someone off with a all full of your charge attack, or do you leave some of the charge attack out, take them down and finish them off with a fast attack? There's a lot of strategy behind the Go Battle League, and I am not a good example for how to do the Go Battle League. I'm not good at it. I'm mediocre at best, but you can be competitive in the Go Battle League as a free-to-play player. And if you want to be a whale and you want to flex and use your really, really cool legendary Pokemon that you worked really hard for and spent a lot of money for, there's a cup for that. And you can do that, but you can also be competitive for free. And that's something you can't really do in Galaxy of Heroes. You're getting pushed down constantly by people that spend more money than you, especially with Relic Delta. You may have been able to fight out of your weight class for a little while, and Relic Delta is going to start to kick you down. Imagine this. If you were playing in Galaxy of Heroes and you were the only person in the entire game mode that didn't spend any money, and everyone else decided to go all in, you would get kicked to the bottom. In Pokemon Go, if that same thing happened, you could still be competitive in the Great League and in the Ultra League. In the Master League, you'd be boned. But in the Great League, you can have fantastic Great League Pokemon completely for free, and you could be very competitive there. So if your big thing is PvP and you think that you can't make a PvP mechanic that rewards both free-to-play players and pay-to-win players, that's wrong. It happens, and Pokemon Go does it decently well. Now, that's all to say, Pokemon Go is not a perfect game, and that's why I'm not telling you, go play Pokemon Go. It's a completely different IP. It's not a Star Wars IP. It's a different type of game, and I'm sure it's not a great fit for every single person. For example, if you live in a rural area, Pokemon Go is probably not going to be great for you. I grew up in a town of less than 2,000 people. We had 2 Pokestops, the local post office and the library. There are more now that the game has come out and people have submitted more stops for the game. But whenever I first started playing this game, 2 Pokestops in the entire town. Did not lend to a great experience, which is one of the reasons that I quit. And that's a big problem that Pokemon Go has, is that rural players don't have the best experience with the game like urban players do. Hell, I went to Japan. Playing Pokemon Go in Japan is a whole different beast. The experience playing Pokemon Go in Japan, in a city, I went to Fukuoka and I was in Nagasaki for Go Wild. The idea that you can just hop into a raid and 10 plus people will just join in without any sort of organized group is crazy. But it happens there, and it's super fun. There also isn't a strong virtual presence in Pokemon Go like there is for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. In Galaxy of Heroes, guilds have Discord servers where they talk and they, strategize. They talk about Galaxy of Heroes. Some people stream Galaxy of Heroes with their guild mates. You create a virtual bond with your guild. That is to say, Galaxy of Heroes doesn't incentivize you to do a whole lot with your guild. You have territory wars. That's kind of it. You got territory battles, sure, but there's not a ton of strategy behind that other than making sure to set your platoons and listen to your guild leader, whatever they put in the in-game things. Like, you don't have to really interact with your guild at all. And for raids, kind of the same thing. But they at least have the ability to foster an online virtual community. I have great friends from all over the United States and a couple of friends from around the world that play Galaxy of Heroes that I still talk to, that I've made great relationships with. And in Pokemon Go, that's a lot harder to do. This game focuses a lot more on local community. And I've made really, really great friends playing Pokemon Go in real life, walking around, touching grass, going to real places and meeting real people and interacting with them, talking about Pokemon Go, about Star Wars, about James Bond, about things that I enjoy that they also happen to enjoy. So there's give and take, but Pokemon Go is not for everyone. And there are still plenty of bugs in Pokemon Go. There are things that come up that are issues. They usually get fixed relatively quick. In the grand scheme of things, compared to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, way quicker than Galaxy of Heroes. And the make goods are generally a lot better. I've been talking for a while, and this has been kind of a soapbox, and I accept that. And the point of this, again, is not go play Pokemon Go, because I don't think it's a fit for you, or it may not be. Maybe it is, and maybe you should give it a try. I get way more steps. I run a lot more. It's been great for my physical health. I am so much healthier now that I play Pokemon Go compared to when I played Galaxy of Heroes. But the point of it is this. CG would have you believe that Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes has to be predatory. They have to do these heinous things with how they monetize the game, with how they incentivize you to progress in the game. And they tell you that if they don't do it, their game will fail. And that is just not true. And regardless of how much money you've spent and how much you've put into the game, like me, I put thousands of dollars into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I'm telling you, it's okay to cut the cord. It's okay to lose the money. You've sunk a lot in, thank yourself. And if you're not having fun, think deep, be introspective. Do you enjoy playing Galaxy of Heroes? Do you enjoy the predatory behavior of Capital Games? And if you don't, go find a different mobile game. There are mobile games out there that are not as bad. Not all mobile game developers are predatory and evil. It may be a little over the top to call Capital Games evil, but it certainly is predatory. And you don't have to settle. Go play a game that you enjoy and is better for your mental health. If you're mad at your grand arenas every time because you're matched up against someone that's way better than you, or way bigger roster than you, sorry, because skill doesn't matter anymore. If you're mad because you have to pay $250 to get the new character, go try a different game. You'll thank me for it. Good luck, guys, and happy gaming.